yo, what going on? It's your boy MarkydanTheHistorian. And what's going on? And we're back for we're back for our third episode of the Friday News Roundup. That I've personally dubbed Political Discourse. Forgive me. My brother DubRightSide, he's gonna be coming in later. He's having some technical difficulties. He's driving he's driving back home. So safe driving for him. But salute to everybody that's coming through. Please smash that like button. Hit the subscribe button. Democracy 101 just got to its 100 subscriber. I want to thank y'all so much for that. Please keep supporting me. Like I said, keep hitting that subscribe button, a like button. I'm gonna say salute to my brothers that's on the stage right now. Rodney, BVO. We're gonna be getting into some topics later. Firstly, we're gonna be getting into the House versus NCAA settlement decision that was approved on June 6th. But before we get to that, can you two brothers introduce yourselves? Go ahead, BVO. I don't know if BVO. I don't know if BVO can hear me.
Oh, salute, man. Salute to my man, West Indian Marky. Salute to the angriest man in sports, Hot Rod. What's going on?
Salute my brother. Hot Rod, you good?
Yo, what's good, man? Does it hear me?
Nah, you gotta fix your mic, Rodney. Like you quiet, like you like a whisper. Give me 1 second, y'all.
Yo,
Hold on.
yo.
Yup, I hear you now. You good?
What's good, man?
Nah, man, I'm good. Let's get into the first topic of the night. Like I said, my brother Dub, he's gonna be coming in later. Safe travels to him. But let's get to it. Student athlete. Shit. Excuse me. Hold on, can y'all hear me?
Yep.
Okay, my bad. We have a great show for y'all. College sports has radically changed as of June 6th, 2 weeks ago. Schools will begin directly paying their athletes in less than a month, thanks to the legal settlement approved in federal court by Judge Claudia Wilkin out in Oakland. I believe, I think it's out in Oakland. I think she's out in the 11th district. Um, this deal will cause groundbreaking changes in NCAA rules that govern student athlete compensation. This settlement included over 389,000 plaintiffs, all of whom participated in college athletics between 2016 to 2024. The House versus NCAA settlement will also end three separate federal trust and federal antitrust lawsuits against the NCAA and its Power Five conferences. I don't think I need to spell those five guys out. These lawsuits were claiming the NCAA were illegally limiting the earning power of its college athletes. Now, the NCAA are set to pay $2.8 billion in back damages over the next 10 years to college athletes who competed, like I said, from 2016 to 2014, but they did not receive NIL, which is they did not receive NIL compensation. For those of you who don't know, that's name, image, likeness, which is something we've had for about 4 years now, which has been at least for the time being. Before this was approved, that was the way how college players were being paid. They were being paid through third party organizations. But getting back into it, um, excuse me. Moving on, as of July 1st, schools will be able to pay student athletes directly from their athletic budgets within a cap of $20.5 million, which will increase by 4% every year annually for this decade long deal. These new payments will also include the scholarships and other benefits that athletes already received. We've of course, like I just talked about, we've of course had NIL for the last 4 years. This is completely separate from that. The settlement approves the question as to whether athletes should be considered employees or not. That's all out the window. This is gonna put an end to all of that. A lot of NCAA administrators believe this new deal will help to tamp down on the unregulated skyrocketing market for paying players through NIL and third party organizations. Like I said, for example, like we were just talking about Bryce Underwood at the end of the season last year. For those of you who don't know, Bryce Underwood, he's gonna be the freshman quarterback for Michigan. He's being paid a $10 million deal from the Collective Champion Circle, which is being funded by a tech billionaire named Larry Ellison. So to put a stop, and there's going to be questions as to what's going to happen to that deal, what's going to happen to most of those deals that were already struck going forward. But as of now, moving forward from July 1st, the power conferences are launching a new enforcement organization that will monitor payments that come from schools and boosters. And the new enforcement organization will be called the College Sports Commission. On June 6th, it was also announced that Major League Baseball executive Brian Seeley will be the organization's CEO. His job is described as being responsible for building out the CCS's investigative and enforcement teams and being responsible for all ongoing operations and stakeholders. Um, Now, each school's athletic department will have the ability to decide what percentage of their budget will go to which sport. The thought process of many is that football will take priority over most of these schools' budgets. However, that may not be the case for all. You may have schools like Duke and Kentucky, which will more than likely prioritize their basketball programs, and you have a Vanderbilt with their baseball program. This will almost certainly lead to college athletes unionizing, and this may also lead to litigation down the road when you talk about women athletes, such as a Juju Watkins. When you talk about what share she's gonna take from the USC athletic department. But before I let you brothers go, let me just say this is a long time coming. The NCAA has been out of order for a very long time. I've compared it, and not only have I compared it, Supreme Court Justice Brett Kavanaugh compared it to modern day slavery. And in one of their lawsuits, I believe it was Johnson versus NCAA, you can go and read one of the defense. Well, the main defense they use saying that amateurism should be preserved is that was a clause in the 13th Amendment, which is the slavery exemption, which is basically used to make prisons legal because you have to have a prison, you have to be able to put prisoners to labor. So they were saying that, well, we should be able to preserve amateurism under the 13th Amendment. And they said, no, get the heck out of here. Y'all are a bunch of frauds. Y'all are robbing on these players blind. And I am happy this deal came down. I'm happy these players are not getting robbed. I'm happy they don't have to do it under the table anymore. I'm happy we don't have to have no more Reggie Bush stories. Um, and like I said, I'm happy that this is gonna be ran like a business. Now, there's gonna be questions like about the integrity of players coming up, but hey, it's a business, so y'all can have those questions. But BVO, Rodney, whichever one y'all want to go first, and take this on. BVO.
I think my man Mark said a lot. Mr. Word Salad himself. I think it's a good thing. I think no matter how it goes, man, it's just another example of you know things changing for maybe for the better and some for the worse. So the main important thing is hopefully these kids do right by the money. We seen kids stay and become seniors. Like people don't realize Shador Sanders was a senior, Salo Sanders was a senior, Travis Hunter was a senior. That wouldn't have been the case in the past. In the past, those guys would have did their 3 years and moved on. So it's great to see that they actually went out and made it right. And I tell you what, it's always gonna be some people who don't like it because they say, "Oh, the kids ain't as hungry," and blah blah blah. At the end of the day, the people who put the work in will always be great. Those who don't put the work in, they won't be. This is not a new concept. This is not something that we even have to think about. I'm just excited for the kids. I'm excited for those people who don't have to wait because football and basketball are the two ecosystems that take the longest to receive anything from it. Before this, college basketball, you had to spend a year in college basketball. Before this, you had to spend 3 years in the NFL to kind of receive, to get that money from the draft. So, the two sports that affect African Americans the most have finally had the veil lifted off of them, so you can actually make some money. Because you can go play for the Yankees out of high school, you can go play for NHL out of high school, but you can't do it for basket. You couldn't do it for basketball and football. So it's good. This is a nice alternative. I'm excited about it.
Most Def, Rodney, what's your reaction to the historic settlement?
Um, Depends on the way you look at it, because this new generation, even though I'm 27, I graduated 2016, so I'm still in my 20s. But I don't act anything like these young kids. These kids won't. Don't put the work in for it. You know, I don't. It just depends. Because it's really not NIL. It's really paid for play. If you want to be technical, it's paid for play. But with this situation, you're talking about people that played in the past. So I guess you can give them a dollar, but it's not helping. It's not helping the development. I mean, we got kids driving Ferraris and killing people. These kids don't know. These kids don't know what they're doing. They won't. Like you said, that one kid got a $10 million deal. That's not for NIL. That's for paid for play. He was going to the school with the highest bidder. If LSU offered 15 million, he would have went to LSU. If Alabama would have offered him 20 million, he would have went to Alabama. It's paid for play. It's not name, image, and likeness. There's only a few players in college football that actually has an endorsement deal where that's really name, image, and likeness. NIL. Arch Manning is NIL. That's ain't name, image, and likeness. When Caleb Williams was in college, that's NIL. He actually had an endorsement where he was on TV. It's some of these players is paid for play, and some of these players is actually NIL. Name, image, and likeness. It's not supposed to be paid for play, but that's what it is. It's the wild, wild west. There's no construction. There's no rules. You open up the portal soon. You open up the portal during the season. It's the wild, wild west. Until they put this in order and put construction in it, it's going to be the wild, wild west. That's what it's going to be. These kids won't, but don't want to put the work in. Look at old boy from Nico out here from California. Go to Tennessee. They paid the kid what, like $5 million. He can't even live up to his bargain agreement. He's supposed to sign autographs for the kids. He's supposed to do stuff to get that money. But he didn't do that. He won't. And then he sat out because he saw what other kids were getting. This ain't the NFL, dog. This not the NFL. This little chunk change y'all getting is not $60 million a year what Dak Prescott is getting, or Lamar Jackson is getting, or any top quarterback in the NFL. It's not the same. It's not the same. Now, granted, some of these kids, this is life changing money because they know they don't have a shot at the NFL. So by all means, some of them kids that know they ain't got the talent or don't have a shot at the NFL, make as much money as you can in college. But some of these kids that have the admiration of going to the NFL, this ain't the end all be all. I just saw something the other day with the South Carolina kid. He turned down a school's offering thing, a couple $1 million to come to their school. He turned it down because he's looking at the bigger goal. My big goal is to get to the NFL, where I can make $70 million a year, because that's where the market is going for these quarterbacks. Little before we know, somebody's going to be making $100 million a year playing quarterback. It's going to happen. All this, 600,000, $2 million in college, that's nothing compared to the NFL. That's nothing. And until these kids understand that, it's the wild, wild west. And it starts with the NCAA, the non-caring. Can I curse?
Absolutely.
It's the NCAA, the non-caring assholes of America. It starts with them. There's no construction. And once again,
What what
it's the wild, wild west. And I'll just leave it at that.
what that's one of the things that they're actually trying to end with the creation of the college commission of sports. I think that's what it was called. So they're trying to end those wild 10 million. Well, I think what Bryce Underwood is being paid is $10 million a year. So that's the point of that. They're saying they're going to put a cap on those types of NIL payments by basically measuring everybody against the same market. Now, I don't know exactly how that's going to happen. We're going to see how the structure of that is going to be put forth. But yeah, I do agree with you. I think a lot of kids were hurt by the last era of the Wild Wild West. Particularly one kid, that kid from Tennessee, Nico Limialamale. Excuse me if I said your name wrong, brother. Um, he left behind. I think it was a 4 year, $8 million deal because he wanted more money after he looked trash, and they got destroyed by Ohio State in the opening rounds of the college football playoffs. And it was not. I absolutely do not believe it was that kid who made the decision that he wanted to go to them and ask for a bigger deal. I think that that was his family. I think that they were pushing him for the greed and love of money. And what ended up happening to that kid is he's now at UCLA making $1 million less. So he's at a school with less coverage and he's making less money. So I mean, I think a lot of what this is gonna bring down is gonna be good because, like I said, it brings structure with the commission. I do think that a lot of these schools and student athletes, they're gonna unionize because I don't think they're going to be agreeing with all of the structure that might have came down from the settlement agreement that was between the conferences and those 389,000 past plaintiffs. But we're gonna just have to be seeing what happens after July 1st, because that's when all of this is gonna be coming down and instituted. You want to say something, BBO?
No, I was just gonna say, man. It's a tough subject, man, because at the end of the day, from playing football and watching football my whole life, man, a lot of bum dudes will tell you what they want, but when you get my age, I'll be 35 in a couple weeks. You kind of feel those aches and pains from playing. So no matter what happened, I think they should make sure they got the health insurance right. That's the most important thing to me. Like anything health wise, if I need to go to the doctor, if I need to get a prescription, I'm not talking about idiots like Big Baby Glenn Big Baby Davis who ruin it. Or you can go get a whole mouthful of new teeth and you ruin it because you want to be reckless and steal from people. But there should be something for healthcare, man. That's the main thing I say. Healthcare.
Absolutely. And that's an interesting. Well, according to the articles, and I've read the lawsuit, all those benefits, along with their scholarships, is going to be included, along with the 20.5 million dollars. Um, but the thing I'm curious about is how the group of five conferences, your conference, the MAC, and the Mountain West. I wonder how they're going to be shifting what they do in the next couple of years because they were not included in this settlement, and I don't know if they have any current open lawsuits against them. But from what you told me, they took pretty good care of you, right?
Yeah. Yeah, the MAC, what they always have had is a health fund at all the schools. Akron has it, Ball State, Bowling Green. Excuse me if I missed one. I can't remember all the MAC. Central Michigan. They usually have a fund, and what happens is that the school pays this money. So, say you want to get braces, you can go get braces. Say you want to get a cast on your hand, you can go get a cast. Say you want to get a hip surgery, whatever the case may be, they got that fund, and I think the MAC has pretty much been ahead of the class on that. Man, they've always had great health insurance. So, yeah, I still drive up 2 hours to go get health care for me and my whole family. So, Bowling Green and MAC have been really good to me.
Absolutely, absolutely. So, and like I said, these players, they're gonna continue to get their benefits. I don't know, but I hope that one of the things that when they start unionizing, because I just talked about that situation with Nico. I think there needs to be a certain, even though the courts have acknowledged these are grown adults. I do think that there needs to be a certain supervision arm that's outside of their family specifically so you don't have situations like what happened with Nico. I think that you should have a union rep who is your direct advisor who walks you through those situations, at least when it comes to dealing with schools. But like I said, we're gonna be seeing what's happening with this situation. Rodney, you got anything else on this before I move on?
Yeah, you hit it on the head. Um, it starts at home with these parents because the way these kids act, it starts at home. These kids don't get disciplined. These kids don't get whooped. I used to get socked right in my chest.
They call that child abuse
Moms,
now.
moms and noms didn't go for that. I said my girl used to hit us, put your hand out, hit us with the strap. Ain't going for that, man. These kids, no plan in the store. We'll take you to the bathroom. Well, come on, man. Ain't nobody, bruh. These kids, it starts at home, man. Like these kids don't think they don't want to listen. You know, y'all remember the clip where the Florida player just pushed his coach out the way? What are we doing?
Crash dummy.
What are we doing? That would have never happened. Even when I played in the early between when I was in high school watching college ball, that never happened. And then these kids are so soft. You say you try to discipline them, they want to go home and tell their parent, and their parent want to make a big deal out of it. Like, bro, I'm 27, but bro, I was coached old school, man. Ain't none of that going on. Then these kids don't want to compete. They want their spot handed to them. As soon as they see some competition, they leaving.
Mm-hmm.
Like NCAA need to come up with they need to come up with a rule, man. And you can't transfer no more than one time. You transfer again, you got to sit out a year. They got to come up with something because this isn't successful. Kids are not being developed. Look how the NFL is being played. Look at the NFL. Look at the quarterbacks. These quarterbacks ain't that good. These quarterbacks will not last 15 years ago with the greats. The Peyton Mannings, the Tom Brady's, the Drew Brees, prime Aaron Rodgers. They wouldn't last playing against them. Like, developed, these kids are not getting developed. You know, it's a freak of nature playing a position. You got kids like Anthony Richardson playing a position. Dude was
Yeah.
dude was 50-something percent completion percentage in college. What did you expect he was going to do in the NFL? It, you,
They
it's
thought he was gonna be Josh Allen.
something has to change, man. And it starts with the parents and it starts with the NCAA. You know, because we do have some kids that want to be coached. We do have them kids that listen, but majority they on some fu type stuff. You know, how can a coach you when you got a player on the team that's making damn near the same amount of money as you or more than you, and he only 19 years old? The player gonna look at the coach like, who was you? I'm making much of cheese just as you, and I'm 3 times younger than you. Something has to give, man. Something has to give because this way it's going. There won't be no football. There won't be no basketball. Something has to give.
Nah, man, you make a lot of great points, Rodney. And those are all the questions that we're gonna have to answer in the future. But I'm gonna move on to the next topic. Um, Next topic we got coming up. So the Israel and Iran situation that has been kicking up a lot of dust recently. Um, so as of I think the bombing has been going on for the past 7 days. I think they started last Friday. Israel has been striking hospitals. They've been striking nuclear plants. Iran in kind has been striking hospitals and TV stations and military outposts. The question has now been put to Donald Trump, and it's also going to be put to the American Congress. Are we going to involve ourselves in this war with Iran? Right now, Israel, they want us to get involved and drop a 30,000 pound bunker busting bomb on top of Iran's nuclear facility that is basically built into the side of a mountain. that will put us directly into conflict with them, and we will more than likely see dead Americans in the bases that we have throughout the Middle East region. But I'm gonna play this video. I'm gonna pause it each second to react. YouTube, please give a brother a break. I do not own the rights to this video at all. We are reacting for reporting, criticism, educational, and research purposes only. Let me know if
The
y'all can
meeting
hear it.
came after Mr.
Oh,
Trump left the G7 summit early to fly back to Washington. And as the U.S. is sending fighter jets and a second American carrier strike group to the region. Across Israel today of sirens, signaling incoming plumes of black smoke. After an impact. Crews raced to put out fires at a bus depot in central Israel after an airstrike left this Mossad building in a separate attack. Iran claims it hit the intelligence agency's headquarters, which Israel has not confirmed. To the north, killed when an Iranian missile hit their home in the Arab-Israeli town of Tax on Iran, killed a top military commander.
We eliminated Ali Shadmani, the war chief of staff, the most senior military commander of the Iranian regime.
Parts of Tehran now lie in ruins. In Amin Alley in northern Tehran, Mujtaba is back at his bakery, minutes after learning that his brother was killed in an Israeli airstrike.
People still need bread. They're not responsible for this war. This is my front line. Israel should know that with its actions, it will not succeed. Even if hundreds more die, we will still do our duty.
Night and into today, prompting chaos in the capital city as thousands clogged the main roads trying to leave.
Okay, I'm gonna pause it for just 1 second, but just my quick reaction. Very desperate humanitarian situation for a lot of those Iranians. Millions of them are trying to flee the capital city of Tehran, which is being bombed every day. Um, the last I checked, the civilian death total has already passed 500, and that's the Israelis that are bombing and killing them. That so far there have only been 11 Israelis that have been killed in this conflict so far. They're about to get into Trump's comments, but before we go there, do y'all have any comment? All right, I guess not. We're gonna move on, and we're gonna hear what the president has to say about perhaps what he's going to do in the coming weeks, as well as Iran's past actions for not taking what he calls his nuclear deal.
Last night, warning residents of Tehran to, quote, immediately evacuate. Today, claiming the U.S. knows where Iran's supreme leader is hiding, but, quote, we're not going to take him out, kill at lender from the regime. Trump met with top security aides after leaving early from the G7 meeting in Canada. On Air Force One, the president said he's less inclined to use diplomacy after Iran backed out of nuclear talks with the U.S.
They should have done the deal. I told them, do the deal. So I don't know, I'm not too much in a mood to negotiate.
He also directly contradicted his director of national intelligence, Tulsi Gabbard, who back in March said this.
Iran is not building a nuclear weapon.
Testifying on Iran's nuclear capability to the Senate Intelligence Committee. The president, meantime, the prospect of U.S. involvement is causing a rift in the Republican Party.
So just quickly, that was Trump, and basically Tulsi Gabbard his national security his national security council advisor, she came out with her assessment and said that Iran is not building a nuclear weapon and they currently do not have a nuclear weapon. This has also been backed up by the UN's nuclear watchdog agency, IEBA. They've also said that while Iran has they have enriched uranium of 60%, which is pretty dangerous. They say that they do not have the capabilities to build a nuclear bomb right now. But Trump basically came out right there in those statements and threw cold water on Tulsi Gabbard, which I just think is insane and crazy and shows his own incompetence for putting her in that position if he doesn't believe her. Um, but I really don't like what I've been hearing coming out from him. But he's an erratic, meandering idiot, and just prayers for Iran. But do y'all have any reaction to what that orange idiot just said?
Nah.
All right, we continue.
Committee. The president today.
I don't care what she said. I think they were very close to happening.
Meantime, the prospect of
dangerous times.
on Fox last night, South Carolina Senator Lindsey Graham called on the U.S. to use force
to eliminate the nuclear threat. If we need to provide bombs to Israel, provide bombs. If we need to fly planes with Israel, do joint operations.
But some prominent MAGA Republicans, like former Fox host Tucker Carlson, say U.S. involvement in Iran does not align with their America First agenda.
I'm really afraid that my country's going to be further weakened by this. I think we're going to see the end of American empire, obviously. Other nations would like to see that, and this is a perfect way to scuttle the USS America on the shoals of Iran.
Also breaking with the president, Georgia Representative and Trump loyalist Marjorie Taylor Greene posting on X last night, quote, "Foreign wars, intervention, regime change, put America last, kill innocent people, are making us broke, and will ultimately lead to our destruction." All voices as the two regional powers.
Okay, so just quickly, so what was just said right there, there is, as a result of this decision, Trump, or excuse me, as a result of what his coming decision over this conflict is going to be, whether we go to war with Iran or not, we are beginning to see a huge break in the Republican Party, where you have on one side Marjorie Taylor Greene as well as others saying that this is not what the president ran on. He said no new wars. He said that he was going to be the peacetime president. He came in blaming Joe Biden for what's currently going on in Ukraine, the war going on over there, even though I don't see how Joe Biden could have made Russia invade. But either which way, you're seeing a huge divide in the Republican Party as a result of this. And Trump, this is going to be the most important decision of his presidency. I already think the Republicans are in pretty bad shape going into the midterms next year with the big ugly bill. But now he is going to he's really going to have to expand all his political capital for this decision if he decides to go to war, because people do not want another war. He was going to have to, and he wanted to use the political capital he gained from the election. He was going to want to use it for immigration, for all the people that are pissed at him for violating people's rights and for illegally deporting people and for going into schools and churches and picking up people at courthouses. He wanted to use every bit of political capital he had for that situation. Now he's about to have the Elon situation, the big ugly bill situation, and you got an Iran situation. And next month you might even have a recession situation on his hands. So this could be on top of the tariff situation. So this can be potentially the thing that makes or breaks Trump's presidency. this Iran situation. But there's a little bit more of the video I might play. Do y'all want to react to anything?
No, I'm taking your lead on that. Just listening.
Most
Yeah.
def.
I really
My
don't
brother,
be into politics like that.
most def. But as long as you got a driver's license, you could be drafted and sent over there, Rodney. But anyways, Bruce Gas in the chat, my OG, said he had to get away from those crazy broads. I understand exactly what you're saying, Bruce Gas. Smash the like button, like I said. Democracy 101, we just got over 100 subscribers. I want to thank everybody that helped me in that mission. We're trying to get to 200 now, so smash the like button, subscribe. We continue on with the video.
More now with Eric Edelman, who was a career Foreign Service officer and served at high levels in the state and defense departments in both Democratic and Republican administrations, and Kareem Sajidpour. He's a senior fellow at the Carnegie Endowment for International Peace, where he focuses on Iran and U.S. foreign policy toward the Middle East. Gentlemen, thank you for joining us. Eric Edelman, we've seen President Trump's language towards Iran really ramp up over the last few days of Israeli strikes, threatening the Ayatollah outright, calling for a surrender. What do you see here? Is this a U.S. that's pushing for talks or that's preparing for more of a military effort in some way?
Well, I think the president obviously has expressed in the past that he would prefer a diplomatic solution, but has been frustrated in that effort for a variety of reasons. I think now the administration and the president and his colleagues today are facing up to a very difficult reality, which is that Israel has done enormous damage to Iran's nuclear program, but it is not able to completely eliminate it because of a lack of certain military capabilities, which the U.S. possesses. And so the challenge he now faces is whether the worst outcome would be to leave an Iran that has been damaged, humiliated, but still has the capability of reconstituting its nuclear program. I mean, this is a country that since the revolution has been founded on the notion of death to America and death to Israel. So in that sense,
I want to ask you more about the U.S.
All right. Salute to my brother RGM. He just came in. How you doing, RGM?
Hey, how's it going, Marky Dan?
Most def. That's my financial consultant right there. Salute to him. Before I give my thoughts, do you have any thoughts on this Iran-Israel conflict and what our role may be in it in the future?
I mean, I'm kind of conflicted on it. Me and my girlfriend, we actually talk about this from time to time because, you know, I've always been raised that, like, you know, Israel is God's people and we should always back them and all that. But my girlfriend, she's made some very good points, and I can't really say that I feel that way anymore. You know, I'm not gonna lie and say that I'm 100% back Palestine. It's Palestine that they're
Yeah.
And Iran, right? Is it both of them? I think it's both of them because didn't they just
well,
bomb
right
Iran?
now they're at war with Hamas in Palestine and Gaza, and and they're engaged in a war with Iran, like I said.
Yeah. So like when it comes to like this whole genocidal type of behavior, I can't really say that I agree with it. You know, there has to be some kind of level of diplomacy that can be used. And recently I heard a pastor say, well, in the Bible, they would they would destroy everybody. Like they don't leave anybody alive. And a lot of times God told them to do that, which is true if you're going by what the Bible says. But we also don't live in the Bible times anymore, though. That's the thing. So it's one of those things like I kind of go back and forth. If you put a gun to my head and ask and say make a choice, I would say that we need, we shouldn't back genocide. That's, but there is some stuff there that just kind of I'm a little bit conflicted with.
No, I absolutely hear you because one thing I really don't like is we accuse, or no, we say Iran, we call them religious fanatics, but then we call Israel's land God's people, and that they have the right to have from the river to the sea. But there's
Hmm.
Palestinians living in between the rivers to the sea, and y'all don't have
Yeah.
the right to genocide them and move them off their land. That's colonization. Like that. That's stuff that we rejected a long time ago. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? And lastly, to the Iran situation, we do not need to get involved in any way, shape, form, or fashion. I think we need to stay the hell out. Israel are big boys. They made the decision to fire rockets into this country based off of whatever intelligence they have. Let them go ahead and go to
Uh,
war. Let them fight it out. Because they
uh,
like to do it. They like to do this thing where because they're Muslims over there, we're supposed to be on Israel's side at all times and defend them no matter the situation. And that's the thing. That's really what I've been seeing from every president. Every president, at least in my lifetime, and that includes Obama. Like,
yeah.
and personally, even though I am not in favor of Iran having a nuclear weapon, if that were the case, which I don't believe they do, but if that were the case, I mean, look what happened to everybody else that lost their nuclear weapons. Look at Ukraine. Look at the situation they in. Look what happened to what's his name from Libya? Gaddafi. He gave up his nuclear weapons peacefully, and then they came back and killed him. They did the same thing to Saddam. He gave up his nuclear weapons program. They came back and murdered him.
Yeah.
It seems like the only people that don't get murdered have nukes, like North
Right.
Korea.
Right.
Ain't
You
nobody
can't.
exactly like North Korea.
I
Ain't
can't.
no,
I can't blame somebody for protecting themselves. I just can't. But I mean, we have an amendment for for God's sake. We have a whole amendment for that. So it's kind of hypocritical, like for us to expect them to give up their way of, I mean, I get it, we're talking about guns versus nukes, but you know, we know each other also from the YTBC. And what's one of the things that they tell the boxers at the beginning of every fight? Protect yourself at all times. That's really doesn't it's not just that's not just a boxing thing. That's really a philosophy for life if we're being honest, so it's just one of those things like I have to be empathetic and put myself in their shoes, whether I see them as the enemy or not. And we should always be striving for peace. There should be some kind of a peaceful resolution. The first thing that we do shouldn't be just, committing genocide. That's not something that I can subscribe to.
no, absolutely not. But I will say to Bruce in the chat, I do think that Israel does have the right to defend itself, and Palestine, at least on October the 7th, showed they have the ability to inflict a lot of pain on Israel when they came across and they just murdered 1,200 people and did a whole lot of other savage and barbaric things. But since then, I mean, according to Israel, they've killed off 13,000 Hamas soldiers, and they've completely decapitated the the supreme leaders of Hamas. They've killed the next four leader. They've killed the next four leaders over. So, I mean, I really don't know how much more suffering and pain you want to inflict on that population of 2 million people. Like, I mean, I don't know why they have to keep bombing and killing people. I don't know why they have to keep bombing soup kitchens and hospitals and playgrounds. But that's the Jew way. And I mean, hey, it's like you said that. I mean, that's their culture to go ahead and kill everybody. because that's what God told him to do to the Amalekites and the other
Right.
Philistine tribes. He told them to go ahead and kill everybody, and when they didn't do that, according to him, or at least according to the book, they lost God's favor. But here we go
Yeah.
again. That's called religious fanaticism, and we invade countries like Afghanistan for that. So overall, like I said, we need to stay the hell out of Iran. We need to let we need to let Israel fight this out. Let them be big boys.
Yeah, and the way I see it, also, they truly are God's people. He's gonna make a way for them. If you're a believer, and doesn't mean that you can support them morally without supporting them financially. It's touchy subject. Um, most people in my family, they're very much pro-Israel. Like I said, my girlfriend, she's kind of opened up my eyes, and she's a Christian. She believes in the Bible and everything, but she doesn't believe that genocide is right. And like I said, she's really opened my eyes to, um, the other side, so to speak. And yeah, I try to be as rational as possible. You bring a rational point to my attention, at the very least, I'm going to take it into consideration.
All right. Well, Rodney, you got that's gonna be our last points on that topic. You got anything else?
Nah, not on that topic.
All right. We're gonna move on to the final topic of the night. Hopefully Doug could get here for this. We're gonna be discussing the anti-insider trading bill for congressmen. This is obviously a huge problem. They basically got into PBS basically tracked down this young man who runs I think it's a Twitter account, and his job is basically he tracks the trading transactions of Nancy Pelosi's husband, and he's been making basically millions of dollars doing it. And he basically made it exclusive where people had to pay for it, and those people have been seeing huge profits, all just from following the trading transactions, like I said, of Nancy Pelosi's husband. So insider trading, but actually, RGM, you're the financial consultant, so break that down for the people that might be listening. Can you break down insider trading for us?
Yeah, so insider trading, basically, that's anytime that you're privy to information that is not public, and then you use it to your advantage to make investment choices that it's basically not a level playing field. It's a very big problem in the investment world. Back in the day, people used to do it all the time. And even when they got caught, they would still keep doing it because basically they would get like a fine. And the fine would be like a couple $1,000s. But when you make millions, you just keep doing it. It's like if you could pay $3,000 to make 3 million, yeah, it's just basically the cost of doing business. So what happened is back in the 80s, the SEC they adjusted the punishment for insider trading, and currently as it stands, you can be fined up to 3 times your earnings. So that same person who made $3 million doing insider trading can then be fined $9 million for their transgression. So that's how it stands right now. And like I said, it is a problem. I think it's one of those things, innocent until proven guilty. Like somebody could be doing insider trading, or trading. You have to be able to prove that they've done it, though. They're not just going to throw the book at them and charge them 3 times their, whatever they earn through the insider trading without the proper proof.
No, absolutely. And Something I've been hearing about recently is Trump and the tariffs, and that he's been basically using that basically as cover for inside trading. That basically he'd come out of nowhere and announce, "Oh, I'm about to slap 50% tariffs on the EU." You would see a drop in the market. Then guys would eat, or then guys would buy up stock. Then while it was low, then it would go back up, and they would sell it while it was high when he would repeal the tariffs. So I don't know how this is going to touch him specifically because recently, at least back in I think it was 2022 or 2023, we had the Supreme Court decision that said a president has basically absolute immunity. So I don't know how this insider trading bill would really touch Donald Trump, or if it would be able to deter him from some of the things that he's been doing with the stock market and how he's been making tariffs drop and go up and down. But give me one sec. Let me find the vid. I'm gonna get it for y'all. But this is absolutely crucial. You can't be letting these people get one over on you. Because if they're gonna be able to abuse, we should be able to abuse. God damn it! Let us know when we have these huge catastrophes coming.
It's one of those things, though. It's a conflict of interest. There's an old saying, you can't fight City Hall, and this kind of applies in this. Not saying, and I'm not saying that I agree with it. I'm just saying when it comes to something like this, it's really hard to fight the powers that be. So which I mean, I think that's kind of a given, but just in case somebody's like, well, why doesn't anybody hold him accountable for it? Well, he's runs the government that would hold him accountable. So yeah, I know we got checks and balances, but
Corruption at its finest.
Right.
Nah. Now it's gonna be even worse because you got Trump. He put his own guy in charge of the SEC, and I'm really hoping the Democrats can take back the House because I don't want him to decide who runs the Fed at all
Yeah.
whatsoever. Cause this
Oh,
dude, that's just a scary reality for me.
and let me just say this, all right. The SEC is not completely clean. They have their own history of corruption, whether it's all on purpose or not. You got to look into different situations and judge for yourself. I'm sure there's some times where it's really kind of out of their hands, but there's also times where they could have handled things differently. I'm not going to give any specifics, but you just look into the SEC's controversies and you can come to your own conclusions.
Most def. But let's get into the video.
Wall Street Journal analysis reveals a surge in stock trading by lawmakers and their families in early April as President Trump's shifting stance on tariffs sent markets
highlight lawmakers' trades and bar Congress from betting on Wall Street. Lisa Desjardins has that story.
From his office in Los Angeles, 29-year-old Chris Josephs is changing the way people see wealth and power.
I didn't aspire to be an expert of what Nancy.
So, 1 second, hold on. This guy that I'm about to put on the screen, his name, like it says right there, is Chris Josephs. He founded a company, and like I said earlier, what they do is they monitor Paul Pelosi, which is Nancy Pelosi's husband. They monitor his stocks and what he does, and they have made a huge profit doing it. So he's gonna go into it. The name of the company is called Autopilot, and yeah, like I said, it's actually it's a software that monitors their trading activity.
I was about to say it's like an AI, ain't it?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
day-to-day basis. But it's been a betraying your country in a time of crisis. The first Washington scandal, the coronavirus era.
And while they must disclose their trades within 45 days and they can't use insider knowledge, lawmakers are free to trade on stocks for industries they oversee or write legislation about. Joseph's got on his computer and launched a name and sometimes shame effort on Twitter, the Pelosi Tracker, highlighting some trades by lawmakers and their families, including former Speaker of the House Nancy Pelosi's husband, Paul. The idea took off, and so did the profits for tens of thousands who followed the account and Joseph's autopilot app. The Pelosi trades are the most popular of many lawmaker choices. Seeing it all, Joseph's questions if this is fair play.
Politicians from when we've been tracking them have done a great job trading stocks. We think there is alpha.
For those who don't know, alpha means
An edge.
This is exactly the kind of thing that makes people lose trust in their government, and we need to end it.
Rhode Island Democratic Congressman Seth Magaziner is a main sponsor of the Trust in Congress Act, which would ban members of Congress and their families
About how to vote on a bill, we should be making decisions on our investments.
usual coalition. His main
So just quickly, RGM, how do you feel about that? About that young man and his company, and basically the idea to track those congressmen's well, specifically Nancy Pelosi's husband, his trading activity, because he's almost more than certainly getting information from his wife.
Right. So I mean, the fact that it's available to anybody that levels the playing field. However, where the information's coming from, that's where the issue is, and I don't know, they would almost have to do like a RICO case if this were to like go to court. And, if you've benefited from that, you could end up owing a lot of money because, as I stated before, it's not just a flat fine anymore. Like however much money you made, they can charge you up to 3 times that amount. So it's not something that I would recommend anybody partake in, no matter how good it sounds. I mean, there's a chance that maybe you'll benefit from it and then it'll just get shut down eventually. That's, not too bad of a situation if that's what ends up happening, because whatever money you made, you get to keep. You just won't make that money anymore going forward. You have to find another way to, have, make money in the stock market. Like I said, you run that risk of, them doing something like that. And I wouldn't take that chance, but everybody, it's, to your own discretion.
I don't know. Papa Pelosi, they said he got a portfolio of $500 million, RGM.
Yeah, but if he gets charged with insider trading, then that's gonna be, you said 500 million. So that's what 1.5 billion. Is my math correct?
Jesus.
The more money you make, the more money you'll have to pay if you get caught. That's the issue. And that's
Well, if I watching the insider trading, or excuse me, if I watching Papa Pelosi, I can't get catch for nothing. Respectfully.
Yeah,
that's what I'm gonna have
it's
to
one
do.
of those things. You do it at your own risk. But yeah, I've heard of. I actually saw an advertisement for one of these AI things, and but I don't think it was the autopilot. I think it was a different one, and they're claiming that it's gonna keep track of those investments, and when they switch, it automatically switches for you. So these AI things they've actually existed for a while. It's just one of those things though. You have to, pay so much money every month. It becomes kind of like a, you know, basically like think of it as like a franchise, right? You buy a franchise, you got to pay the franchise so much money every, percentage every so often. So it kind of works in the same way, except they usually have like a flat price. And the thing is, you go to any brokerage office, they're always going to have literature, and in fine print, it's going to say that investments are not guaranteed to, give you a rate of return, and it's not guaranteed to hold its value. So it's always going to be a risk, even if you're paying dues or whatever you want to call it. So this is just general information that I'm going over right now, but you can never go after a brokerage firm or an AI that you partook in, paying to use the AI, because whatever losses you suffer is on you. It's actually illegal for a brokerage firm to make up for your losses. So like, let's say I'm your broker. I suggest that you buy X, Y, and Z. You buy X, Y, and Z. You lose $10,000. I can't go and say, all right, my bad. Here's $10,000, because I'll lose my license.
What if I threaten to break one of your legs?
Then I'm gonna threaten to call the authorities. It's literally just one of those
It's a
things.
cold world.
Right? Yeah. It's it's heavily regulated. Not saying that there's not ways to get around things. I mean, what if you make it look like an accident? Well, if you covered your ass well enough, the authorities can't do anything to you, even though you were responsible for breaking my leg. So, um, yeah, it really is a cutthroat world. Like I know a lot of people, they know that, doing the stock market is gambling, but there is literal betting in the stock market. And yeah, it can be pretty cutthroat when it comes to that. And here's the thing: if you lose a bet, you can't even go after that person because you don't even know who they are. You're literally making bets with people that you don't ever have a conversation with. You don't know what they look like. You don't have a profile of theirs. It just goes through this system, and they put out a contract, you buy the contract, and the winner takes all.
All right, RGM. We're gonna continue the vid. They just had a Democratic congressman from Rhode Island. He had some comments. He said that it is betraying your country. He said that and you went into a lot of those reasons and that of what he said, but he said it makes people lose trust in their government because it's a pretty nasty game. And if I lose my money, I mean I lose it, and I don't get no insider information. I don't get to tip the scale in that way.
Right.
So they're coming with So they're going to be passing some legislation, and they're about to go into who is supporting and drafting it.
Before you play it real quick, guarantee you anybody who doesn't support this, they're benefiting 100%.
I mean,
I think they kind of.
maybe there's some rationale to it.
I can't think of any. I mean, if I get caught, I'm gonna get hit with 3 times whatever I made. You get caught, they might give you not you, Marky Dan, but
I
somebody
mean,
in
shit, they might get
somebody who
pardoned.
sits. Yeah, and then there's always the threat of being, aside from being in financial ruin, what if they decide to throw you in jail? It and that doesn't happen often, but it can. There's the potential's there.
Salute to my guy Frilio. Let's continue the vid.
The liberal is part of an unusual coalition. His main co-sponsor is conservative Chip Roy, and working with them are moderate Republican Brian Fitzpatrick and progressive lawmakers Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez and Pramila Jayapal. The effort's getting new attention in light of President Trump's own actions. Ahead of his tariff pause on April 9th, Trump posted on his social media platform, "This is a great time to buy stocks." That day and the day before, Representative Marjorie Taylor Greene, who discloses her trades immediately, bought stock in nearly 2 companies and sold tens of thousands of U.S. Treasury.
Yeah, for those of you who don't know, and salute to my brother Rodney coming through. For those of you who don't know Marjorie Taylor Greene, that's Butch Face. That's Horse Face. Miss Blonde Butch bleach built body whore herself, the MAGA princess. I'm gonna show her face just for 1 second. I apologize if you just ate. She is one ugly ass fucking broad. Respectfully, RGM, respectfully. But this is one ugly ass broad. And she up there acting like she like she's something special.
Hold
Okay?
on. Yeah. Okay. There we go.
Yuck. Look at that fuck. And if you notice, all of them fuckers when they go to Mar-a-Lago, they all get the fucking nose job. They all get the Botox and the nose job. They're all a bunch of weirdos to me, especially this bitch. But anyways, they were talking about how during the tariff hikes, she was inside trading and made a couple $100,000. Let's get more into that. Oh, but do you have any comments on this 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 used rug? You got any comments on her?
So, I mean, I don't really know much about her as far as the inside trading. So you might have to enlighten me a little bit on that as far as how she looks. Yeah, she's not the best looking woman. I don't think she's the ugliest, but she's not my I'd pass.
Hey, RJM, you cold. You cold, RJM. Hold on. Let me put my stuff back up. Hold on. Give me 1 sec. Oh, my God. All right.
While you're
Gotta be careful with the copyright. Gotta be careful.
Yeah, I just want to say that the real issue is here. It's like I said, you can't fight City Hall, right? That's an old saying. And the issue is like even me being licensed. See, I have a lot of restrictions, and it's because of insider trading. Like there's certain things that I can and cannot do, or I lose my license. So I had to be very careful. And some of these things seem like so trivial, but they're trying to avoid conflict of interest. So, but when you're a politician, those same rules of conflict of interest should apply. The same, the punishments should apply. But like I said, when you're the one who's expected to be held, hold yourself accountable. Yeah, you're making millions of dollars. You ain't holding yourself accountable for nothing if you can get away with it.
Absolutely. Shit, I wouldn't.
Exactly. Like let's keep it real. Like, if you can get if you ever been pulled over by a police officer and they're gonna let you off with a warning, there ain't none of y'all who you know what, officer, I was going 20 over the speed limit. I think you should give me a ticket. Nobody's gonna say that. They're gonna be like, thank you so much. You have a good day. God bless. You
I mean, I don't know. Officer DeFrilio. I mean, he's pretty much a stickler for the rules. He might beg for that ticket. Respect to D3. But let's continue on with the vid.
All right.
Form. This is a great time to buy stocks. That day and the day before, Representative Marjorie Taylor Greene, who discloses her trades immediately, bought stock in nearly 20 companies and sold tens of thousands of U.S. Treasury bonds. Others have done well in general. Autopilot trackers have Paul Pelosi up more than 15% over the past year. Texas Republican Dan Crenshaw over 18%, and New York Democrat Dan Goldman not far behind. But some Congress watchers say those are defensible gains, and a stock trade ban would be a mistake.
So ethically, do you think members of Congress should be trading stocks at all?
I don't think they should be trading it based on information they learn through their job, but I think it's fine to trade stocks, sure.
J.W. Verrett is a
Yeah, she about to say who that is and his credentials, but yeah, he's defending it. He's defending the goddamn inside trading, saying it's fine.
Their
Yeah, because
job,
he's
but I think it's
better.
fine to
My
trade
bad.
stocks, sure.
J.W. Verrett is a former Hill staffer, conservative, and George Mason law professor specializing in banking and securities law. He says plenty of lawmakers may think they have an edge on Wall Street.
Members of leadership do have actionable information from time to time. Your average backbencher doesn't have much information. For your average member of Congress, they're going to earn an above average return just by being in an upper income category and using a financial advisor.
Verrett says voters already can see members' trades and act on possible conflicts. His big concern with the ban is that the White House would enforce it and could target specific opponents in Congress.
I am more comfortable with Congress policing itself for ethics issues.
The idea of a trading ban has some very big backers, including Pelosi herself, President Trump, and Democratic leaders Schumer and Jeffries. It also polls north of 80% across parties. The question is, will it get a chance to advance in Congress?
I believe that if this gets to the floor, it will pass by a wide margin. We have bipartisan support, Republicans and Democrats who support this. The American people support it. But Speaker Johnson is the gatekeeper.
Johnson.
Yeah, they're about to get into
Has
Mike
not-
Johnson. One of the most spineless fucking politicians I've ever seen in my life. He's gonna be up out of here by next year. I think so. I mean, he's cutting fucking food assistance and fucking healthcare for people in his state of Louisiana. To help fund a tax cut for billionaires. So I mean, I think they're gonna get him the fuck up out of there. On top of the fact, he's just an absolute bitch for Trump. And this is my channel, so I can get as explicit as I want. He's a fucking bitch for Trump. Just an absolute bitch. You got any thoughts on Mike Johnson before they say his weak and pathetic ass response to all this, RGM?
No, I don't really know much about, like, my wheelhouse is more like the investments and that aspect, and like a lot of the rules, like how it works. When it comes to the political stuff, I'm a novice, so I'm gonna have to learn as I'm listening here. But if I come to a conclusion, I'll let you know after this clip.
Well, just know Mike Johnson's a dumb son of a bitch, and we're about to hear him talk some more.
Not committed to bringing a ban to a vote, but he supports the bill. Ish.
Engage in some stock trading so that they can continue to, take care of their family. But on balance, my view is we probably should do that because I think it's been abused in the past.
In the present, unelected America.
So you heard what the dumb son of a bitch himself had to say right there. On one hand, motherfuckers, I mean, they gotta feed their families through stock trading, which is just which is true for a lot of people, for a lot of rich folks. But I mean, why the hell should I care, respectfully? And but I mean, he did support it in the end. I don't think that there's anybody with any brains in the House or the Senate who's going to oppose this bill. Because what real defense could you have to oppose something like this? There is none, really. But let's continue on.
Americans like Mason greats are trying to benefit. The Minneapolis engineer has used the tracker and the app to trade off Paul Pelosi's picks for a year and recently checked his accounts.
I believe my portfolio was at about 50% return.
50%?
Correct, yeah.
Those are incredible returns, but to Mason, disturbing. Based on what he's seen, he wants the Congress.
And are seeing a lot of discrepancies and similarity between the legislation that they're directly working on and the stocks that they are buying as a result of that. So I think that's a major issue that we need to address.
It's a financial price he's willing to pay to gain more trust in Congress. For the PBS NewsHour, I'm Lisa Desjardins.
Speaker Emerita Pelosi and Congresswoman Marjorie Taylor Greene declined our interview requests for this story. In a statement, Pelosi's team tells us she has no involvement in any of her husband's transactions. A spokesperson for Greene says all of her investments are controlled by a financial advisor, noting she normally finds out about trades when the media comes calling.
So you heard it from literally the horse's mouth, Marjorie Taylor Greene, right there. She doesn't know anything about her stocks or what's being traded. It's all handled by an RGM, by a financial advisor. But I really don't believe Horseface personally. I think she has inside knowledge. Same thing with Nancy Pelosi, who to me is a human reptilian with fucking lipstick and makeup on. But RGM, what's your reaction to these stories? I don't know if RGM got any reaction to these stories. Oh, there RGM is.
Yeah, my
RGM,
bad.
can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you. My earpiece was about to fall out, and when I pushed it, so it ended up uh getting me out of StreamYard. But we were talking. I heard you talking about Nancy. I call her Nasty Pelosi, but Nancy Pelosi being a reptilian. That was the last thing I heard.
Hey, Teach, my brother from Antigua, Teach asked a question. What stocks are current? What stocks are? Excuse me. What stocks are being traded, RGM?
So before I go into that at all, so let me just make something clear. So I have a Series 6 license. And so I that's a question that's like more for somebody who has a Series 7 license. Series 7 is general investments. My wheelhouse is particular like with mutual funds, life insurance, 401k. There's one that's specific for teachers. I forget what it's called because I've never dealt with it, but I did have to learn about it to get my license. So unfortunately, I'm not really the right person to, talk about like specific stocks. You want to talk to somebody who has a Series 7 license for the general investing. So unfortunately, that's not really an answer I can give.
Yeah, but what we do know is that stocks are being traded, and or excuse me, they're being dumped, and then they're being bought when the prices are very low, particularly in times of great static, like when Trump decides to say he's going to put 50% tariffs on the EU, or he's going to call
Right.
out that he's putting 100% tariffs on China. And that's when people like Pelosi, like Marjorie Taylor Greene, as well as other Democrats and Republicans, they get in there and they decide to buy up stock when it's low and then sell it when the market bounces back. So, but I'm sure there are great channels that you can go to, like CNBC Business. They get more into the stocks that are being publicly traded every day and that are pretty profitable. But my brother DubRightSide, a whole hour and 20 minutes late, but that's okay.
I'm
I'll
out of
accept
order.
them.
I'm out of
I'll
order,
accept
man.
them
I'm out
as
of order.
yeah, man. I'll accept you as you is, brother. That's okay. How you doing, Dub?
Man, I've been driving, man. I've been riding, so hey, it's been a long day for me. But hey, I apologize to you, man. I'm out of order today. But real quick, shout out to you, man. I see you at 102. You know what I'm saying? Congratulations on the 100 subs, my brother.
Thank you very much. Thank you to
Oh
everybody,
yeah,
all my brothers in the STN.
congratulations. I
Yep,
didn't
thank
know.
you, RGM. I appreciate all that because I know for a fact the two of you are subbed. Everybody that subbed up to me, y'all, I really appreciate it. I'm trying to take this channel. I don't know how far I'm gonna take it, but I'm gonna take it as far as it can go. I'm gonna try to do more videos. I keep trying to get this South African refugee video out, but it should come out this weekend. But
Bro,
Dub,
Real quick,
Duh.
doing videos, man. I don't know why. That's why I go live so much, because doing videos, man, it seems like it take more time than the live take. I don't understand it.
It does.
It
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 does.
does. It does. It takes a whole lot of time. I have a lot of fun doing it when you get done with the recording and then you get to the editing stage. I have a lot of fun doing that. But the time in between that is just like I got a lot of stuff to do.
Yeah.
And I don't have
Yeah.
time to be like locked in my car in a quiet place where I can record. And then you don't have that dog or that car in the background. But you know how it is. But Dub, did you hear the topic that we were on? We were on insider trading.
It's ridiculous in Washington. It's ridiculous. And it's from both sides of the aisle, you know what I'm saying? I heard a little bit about what we were talking about, but it's interesting to me because the people that's doing the insider trading are the ones that's going to vote on the bill. If insider trading should be outlawed. I'm like, they're not going to vote on against themselves.
It's a conflict of interest.
Exactly.
Of course, they're going to vote in the way that, you know, benefits them.
But then we're going to have our eyes on their ass.
Yeah, but real quick, because the what's that guy's name? The one you were talking about from Louisiana? We were listening to him talk.
Mike Johnson.
Yeah, so he said something that stuck out to me like a sore thumb. All right, he did some deflecting there because they asked him about it, and he gave a very politically correct kind of answer. You know, like, you know, trying to make it seem like he has morals and everything. But then he said, well, I'm more concerned about, you know, Congress holding themselves accountable. It's like, we're not talking about that. There's a big problem. Don't get me wrong. Congress has its issues, but we're talking about the insider trading. And to me, it seems like he'd rather talk about something off topic than to keep our eyes on this issue, because it's a real issue. Like, it's like I said, even me as somebody who is licensed, like, I have to be very careful with what I do if I'm investing. Like, literally, if I open a brokerage account, I have to give my employer access to my brokerage account where they can see the trades that I'm making, where they're going to send not only me my statements, they're going to send my employer my statements. See what I'm saying? It's so heavily regulated, but then when it comes to these politicians, it's, you know, like the Wild Wild West. They can kind of do whatever they want without being held accountable. And that, like, the whole reason why we have laws against insider trading is so that there is a level playing field. Well, it's supposed to be a level playing field for everybody, not just for some.
Agreed. I agree 100%. And it's so interesting. Mike Johnson, and I do think Mike Johnson, me personally, I like Mike Johnson to some degree. But I also think that he's a politician. Well, I know that. So when he comes out and says these things, one of the reasons he said it because there are other things they're going to be looking at and that he's going to need support from these same individuals that need to be investigated. Right? He's gonna need their support to some degree. But man, at what point in time do you just stand on your square and say, look, man, this is y'all out of order? And that's why I say this is why having these conversations are important, because we got to vote these folks out. Vote these people out. You know what I'm saying? That if that's the only tool we really got as the people, you know what I'm saying, is our vote. That's really what we got. And so I hope that some of the people that these individuals, they in their district, I know California gonna vote for Nancy Pelosi every time, some type of way. I don't know. I don't even understand that, but
Well, she getting up out of here. She retiring, Dub.
It's about time. All them old folk, Mitch McConnell, that man, he done had too many slip anyways. Don't
Mitch
get me started on
McConnell.
What you call him?
You heard me. Go ahead.
All I'm saying is, I understand the political correctness in what Mike Johnson tries to do, but people pay attention to this stuff, man. We got to find people with integrity that we put into office, because a lot of these folks, they in there, and sometimes I think they go in there with integrity, and then DC becomes DC, and they end up, hey, as long as I can line my pocket, how you go into a thousandaire and come out $96 million. How does that work?
Yeah, multi-millionaire.
How does that work? It don't supposed to be that way. You know what I'm
You're
saying?
a criminal. That's how that works.
Exactly. I agree.
Nah, but we cooked on that. Before we get out of it, I definitely want to hear your thoughts on because you're used to be in college. We started the night with talking about NCAA versus House. They're gonna be paying athletes that participated in the NCAA in the big Power Five conferences. They're gonna be compensating athletes that participated between 2016 and 2024 $2.8 billion over the next 10 years. On top of the fact, each school within the Power Five is going to have a salary cap that they could pay their players of $20.5 million per athletic program. So they're gonna be deciding. So each school is gonna decide how they're gonna split that up. Whether the football program gets 75 and everybody else got to split up that 25, or the basketball for Kentucky and Duke, they get 40% and 50%, and everybody else got to figure out the rest. We're gonna see how that all works. They also, lastly, just before you go, Dub, they are on July 1st. They're going to be putting a commission into place to basically regulate all the NIL deals. It's going to be called the College Sports Commission. I think that it's the CCS. I'm not exactly sure what the abbreviation means exactly. I'm gonna try to find it, but they're gonna be responsible for regulating the third party NIL deals. So they're not gonna be letting the Bryce Mitchells get paid $10 million from tech software billionaires anymore and collective groups. But yeah. What's your thoughts on a Dub on these schools now being able to pay the players directly?
Man, I think it's a good thing and a bad thing. I think it's kind of both. I think it's good simply because, man, they've been using these student athletes. They've been using them to make billions of dollars for the longest. So, of course, hey, it almost becomes slave labor at some point in time. But at the same time, now it's also this is professional sports once again. This ain't college sports, in my opinion. One thing I love, and I seen this firsthand, but in college now, I was a D2 athlete, me personally, but when I done seen individuals that's struggling and I had, my mom, my folks helped me out, but I done seen people who are making these schools tons of money, sitting there, man, they can't buy a pizza. You know what I'm saying? Now, luckily, you got you go into the child hall, that type of thing, and you get, all that kind of, but yeah, it closed at a certain time. On Sundays at 5 at night, 7 at night. You know what I'm saying? You hungry, man? I seen folk, man. Hey, bro, let's go half on this pizza. We getting $5. We getting a $5 deal from Domino's at the time back then. So, I think it's a good thing. The regulations, though, that's what it all comes down to, how this thing is regulated. And as we know, anything that the government touch, or in my personal opinion, end up corrupted anyway. So we'll see how it work out, but I think it's going to be corruption in this as well. And so we just got to see how it all plays out. But I think it should be a cap. You don't need, man, 10 million a year as look at what's the Quinn Ewers. Quinn Ewers was making more in Texas than he is right now as a professional athlete. That's ridiculous. It don't need to be that extreme, you know what I'm saying? So there do need to be limits and caps on how much you can make NIL wise. At the same time, just I can see the corruption coming. I can see it. I don't know exactly how it's going to play out, but I like that they are trying to regulate. It just, the people who are trying to regulate be the folks who be the most corrupt, the government. So we'll see how it work out.
RGM, any thoughts?
I mean, I don't really know much about that when it comes to the this topic. So I'll have to just, kind of leave it at that.
No, absolutely, I get it. It's a big historic deal though. And teach. I mean, you really gonna have to point me to which Power Five school can't pay their athletes. I mean, I think that's all done, and what they've done by putting in place this $20.5 million cap is well, I mean, that kind of makes it a level playing field, because the big schools like the LSU's and the Alabamas, they can't pay more than that. So hey, make what you can on the budget, you on the athletic budget you can prioritize the programs you want. Now that might lead to some other sport programs at these big schools going out of that might lead to them deciding to shutter some of these programs like canoeing and no, listen. I used to canoe. I ain't even making a joke about it. But that might lead to some of those smaller sports getting shuttered, which you could say has a negative effect. But I don't know. These kids, they deserve this money, 1,000%. And Teach goes on to say, let's put sports aside. How do you think Harvard gets money to do research? The government, someone from the government is granting them. Well, yeah, that's true. Teach. I don't think that's the same as what Dub is saying about corruption. Because that money is used for serious research into things that we need, like cures for cancer and HIV and
But
different vaccinations.
that's
So,
sometimes, Marky. Sometimes, but there's corruption within those programs and the grant system. That
most def.
There's corruption within that as well. You know what I'm saying? So it's just a balance. It's a balance there. I don't know how we find it. Well, I do know how we find it. We find it by voting the right people in. You know what I'm saying? Those people who gonna have integrity. Come back to what we said earlier. So I think that's a huge piece of it. But yeah, we gotta wait and see how this all play out.
I'm also interested into seeing how these kids unionize. Because this is almost certainly gonna, especially with the cap, as to also how these schools are also gonna individually allocate the money to each athletic department. This is almost gonna certainly lead to unionization among the student bodies. So I'm curious to see how the leadership and how the structure for those things are going to be built out. I'm also going to be curious to see if each kid is going to get to have a union rep. And I wonder how that would have affected somebody like Nico Limialabale, how it would have affected him to have a union rep at the time when his father and other people were in his ear making decisions for him. Because that was a really sad situation to me, Dub. Like, that kid went from making $2 million a year at an SEC powerhouse. Now he's at UCLA making $1 million less. Like that, I mean, and that's really just because his parents are greedy.
Yeah, I was gonna say he had the wrong people, and shout out to his parents got him there. You know what I'm saying? But $2 million, that's plenty of money right there. You know what I'm saying? Especially when you're not performing at the level and the standard that you're getting paid, in my personal opinion. So I agree with you. It's a sad situation, but it's a sad situation from the standpoint of him being taken advantage of. It ain't a sad situation that the schools was like, hold on, man, y'all doing too much now. You know what I'm saying? Tennessee, I commend Tennessee coach saying, bro, this ain't just about you. This about the team. You know what I'm saying? So if you're gonna hold out for more money, NIL wise, that's like that's like what we see in the NFL. And I just think, man, it's a scary situation because you're corrupting child or student athletes. I think it's the corruption of the student athlete and making them more money hungry. And then they get to the NFL, they get to real life and realize, well, life don't really work this way. That ain't really how things work in life. You know what I'm saying? So, hey, take advantage of what you got, but at the same time, you got to be careful having, or you got to be careful with what you're asking for and how much you're pushing to get paid. When, as a student, you getting paid $2 million. Who's complaining about that? brother, you're not even grown yet. Respectfully.
I think he looked at what Bryce Underwood was getting, and I'm not 1,000% sure that Bryce Underwood deal is $10 million a year. I think it's $10 million over the next 4 years,
Yeah.
and he was being paid $8 million over the next 4 years. So I think in his head he wanted to be paid as much as Bryce Underwood, and Tennessee was like, bro, I mean, you didn't play that good this season. You played all right, but our strength was off the back of Philip what's his name? Phil Maffa, the running back who was offensive player of the year.
No, Phil Maffa. Phil Maffa was at Clemson.
My bad.
They had the other brother. What's his name? Sampson.
Sampson said, yeah. I think what's his name? It began with a D, I think. Dylan Sampson. Yep. I said Maffa because they both dress orange. You know what it is. But no. But yeah, it was off the back of Sampson, and it was off the back of the defense.
Mm-hmm.
You played all right, kid. Like when we put you in a good position, you played good. But when we needed you to really step up and take this offense to the next level, you were not that.
Nowhere to be found.
So the idea that you coming to me and asking for a wage increase right now, when I don't even know what I'm paying these other kids, absolutely not. Like, and if you decide to go, you decide to go. And that what I'm saying, Dub, with that situation, I really wonder what would have happened if he had a union rep. If he had a third party outside of the outside of Tennessee and outside of his father and family. Yeah. If he had that third party who could sit down with him and say, listen, son, this is the situation. These are the facts. Okay? You played like this year. You're going to get this. You should be very happy to get this. Okay? Don't listen to what your father is telling you.
Yeah.
And you really, and I feel like everybody needs somebody who could be real with them like that. And I hope that because not everybody has a Lenore Sellers type father. You know Lenore Sellers from South Carolina. Did you hear about what happened with him?
No, I didn't. Well, that's the is that the running back?
No, that's the quarterback. He's a true freshman from last year.
Okay.
He was going to be offered $8 million to come play in the Big Ten. They didn't specify the school, but the reports are confirming that there was an offer for $8 million. And his father said, nah, stay right where you at South Carolina. Get your education. And not only that, he already making a whole lot of money.
Yeah.
So I don't know if man, I don't know. I don't know how you even fix that. Because if you don't have a strong father or a strong foundation like that, I don't know if it really even matters. You might just go ahead and drive your Ferrari off a bridge sometimes.
It's interesting that when you bring up the union, I done manage union employees, right? And there are times where when I used to have to meet with the union rep, that type of thing, it's so interesting that they'll be like, okay, what's the situation? This is what I'm being told. Now, how do you see it? Do you have your documentation? This, that, whatever. Then I show everything I got. They be like, all right, let me go talk to them. Hold on. Let me go talk to them to see if we can figure this out, because this ain't going to end well for him. So, you know what I'm saying? It's very interesting when you bring up a union rep in that situation. That independent individual that's going to have, they got your best interest at heart, and they know, brother, you got caught looking at porn on your computer, man. I mean, it is what it is. We're supposed to fire you. You're supposed to be you the opportunity to retire.
Get and you the hell up out of here.
But you might want to go on and retire.
Yeah,
you might want to go on and retire. I mean, it's happened. It's happened. So it happened more than you think, actually. It's kind of odd. We had one dude, and probably
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, dude, he was setting up visits to the massage parlor. I'm doing quotation marks with that one. He's setting up visits on the work computer. I'm like, what are we doing out here, bro? Like, we gotta fire you. You can't be doing this. And then you going on lunch. Okay, all right. What you doing on lunch is what you do, but you can't be setting it up on use your cell phone, brother. I don't know what you got to do, but don't use our computer. Don't use our resources for this type of stuff. And the union rep would always be like, all right, let me go talk to him. Let me see what we can do, man. And so I think it will lead to some type of unionization I just don't know how that plays out yet. I don't know how it plays out with so many
I
different
want
people.
what
Go ahead.
one situation I wonder how it's gonna play out at is USC and Juju Watkins, because she is gonna want a big piece of that pie, and she deserves it. Like I don't know the numbers, but I know USC football did not pull in shit last season. They were dead all last year. Same thing with the male basketball team. So outside of maybe baseball, like I don't think no other athletic program pulls in money like the women's basketball team. So I wonder how that's gonna work, how that's gonna play out over there, because there might be some future litigation down the road with the women.
But you got to look at it. So what I would think would happen is each program would look at the volume of money that's coming in. Right now, when Juju leaves, is the women's basketball program still going to be bringing in or generating that much money? I don't think so. You know what I'm saying? So I think they're gonna just kind of have to look at, okay, this is what this program brings in, this is what this program brings in, and try to utilize the numbers to divide up the money amount. You know what I'm saying? Out of Georgia, well, yeah, the football program gonna get the lion's share.
Yeah.
They're gonna get the lion's share, but then at Duke, the basketball program probably gonna get the lion's share. You know what I'm saying? It's gonna go off of what your revenue is. That's how I would do it if I was managing the funds, you know what I'm saying, for a school. I'm just gonna look at what the revenue that's brought in, and we're gonna split it up accordingly by what the percentages are.
And if I'm Juju, I want $10 million a year, or else I'm leaving.
Man,
and I have a feeling there might actually be a team out there that's willing to pay her $10 million a year from an athletic budget that's $20 million. She could find a small school like that.
Yeah, I guess. I don't know. That's crazy right there. 10 million?
$10 million a year, DubRightSide. And the cap is gonna go up 4% every single year annually.
Man, it's just like the NFL. I don't know how to. That's a wild situation. That's all I'm gonna say. It's a wild situation, and I never thought we'd get to this point in college athletics. I never thought we'd get to this point, but shout out to them. You know what I'm saying? I think they should be compensated for the revenue that they're bringing in. At the same time, you don't know what these kids gonna be until they become that. You know what I'm saying? So, all right, you can pay them what you want to, but it may not always work out in your benefit.
I wonder if there might be when they because I don't think a collective bargaining agreement exactly has been reached. I wonder if they do get to that point, particularly each particular school's union. I think how this is going to be done, it's going to be done conference by conference. There's obviously going to be the school and student body union, but I think it's going to be fitting into a much broader union that's going to be like each school within a conference within like the Big Ten, and then they're gonna have to negotiate a collective bargaining agreement with each conference like it's a league. And what was I just about to say? I just wonder, man, this is just a wild ass situation, like you said. I wonder how it's gonna go in the future.
Is it?
But
is this all schools or just the Power Five?
This is just the Power Five that was included in the settlement.
Okay, that's crazy.
It's beautiful.
I mean, it's a good thing. I'm saying it's just a wild situation. I ain't saying it's a bad thing. I'm saying it's just a wild situation in general.
But last thing before we get up out of here, DubRightSide, my great brother, I touched on Iran versus Israel, that conflict going on over there. Obviously, Donald Trump, in the week since we last spoke on that situation, he's had several comments, such as saying Iran should have took the deal. Now he doesn't feel like talking. He said things like, "We know where Ayatollah Khamenei is, and we could take him out right now." He said things like, "We demand Iran's unconditional surrender." At least in my eyes, pouring a lot of oil on the fire. We've also seen some steep divides starting to form in the Republican Party over this issue, because at least Trump has promised in the next 2 weeks he's going to come out with a decision as to what we're going to do whether we're going to assist Israel in bombing or we're going to stay out of it. Also, in the coming weeks, we're probably going to see if Trump decides to come to that decision, we're going to see a declaration of war drafted by the Congress. And like I just said, we're seeing steep divides in the Republican and the Democratic Party because there's plenty of war hawks over there on that side. But what's your thoughts, the right side? Do you think we should get involved? Because now or excuse me, but before I ask you, also Tulsi Gabbard or Trump has come out and basically contradicted Tulsi Gabbard, as well as his own other intelligent officials, such as John Radcliffe, who have reported from their assessment that Iran does not have a nuclear weapon and will probably not have and does not have the capability to create a nuclear weapon. That's also the reporting and the assessment of the UN nuclear watchdog AIBA. Yeah. So, and Trump basically came out and decided to contradict them and say he believes that they're close to it. But how do you feel, the right side? Do you think that we should go in there and assist Israel in preventing Iran from potentially having a nuclear weapon? Or do you think we should just stay the hell up out of this?
Man, it's interesting because, I'm against war in general, me personally. That's just my view on it. So, and I don't know what our loyalty is to Israel. I have no clue. I don't know why these people feel like when Israel, hell, they the ones who went and got all this stuff started. You know what I'm saying? I just don't want this to be an Iraq situation. Oh, they got weapons of mass destruction. We ain't never seen it.
We ain't never seen it. Just brought it up in the chat. Mm-hmm.
Shout out to him.
WMD Part 2.
And what it really was a regime change war. You know what I'm saying? They just they were trying to change the regime over there, and they were successful at it. But at the same time, when we go back and we look at it now, we realize that was the dumbest place for us to be. We had no reason and utilizing the attack on the World Trade Centers to go attack them when they didn't have nothing to do with it. So I say we stay out of it. Look, Israel, they already bombing. They got the Golden Dome, Iron Dome, whatever it's called. They got that, so they can protect themselves accordingly. But man, let these countries do what these countries gonna do, man. Hey, forget all the nonsense and all the we gotta police the world. No, we don't. We don't have to police anybody. We need to police ourselves. That's what we need to be policing. So if that's what Israel, and they're gonna do the whatever. I know they say Iran, they behind all these proxy wars with the Houthis and Hezbollah and whoever else, Hamas. Man, forget that, man. We don't even supposed to. Why are we even over there? That has nothing to do with us. That is in a completely entire different part of the world. We got our own problems. So let them people figure out and come to an agreement, and the people in that region, you know what I'm saying, figure out how they want to deal with Iran and how they're going to deal with them and all that kind of stuff. Let them figure that out. You know what I'm saying? The only thing I think we should have with any of these people, we should have economic relationships with them. You know what I'm saying? But outside of that, trying to police the world, it just ain't our piece. That ain't our part. It ain't up to us to do that. And so in this situation, I've heard that Iran, they could be kind of close with the enrichment of uranium and all this other kind of stuff. Man, you got people who can look over that. If the United Nations or whoever is over in that area, the United Saudi Arabia, Israel, the UAE, whoever over there, if they want to handle that, let them handle it. But it ain't our job just to always try to stick our nose into other people's conflicts. And it's crazy that you even allow somebody like Bibi Netanyahu to come over here and give speeches to Congress saying what we should be doing with our military to support them. Marky, what is our investment in Israel? What is it?
I just think that a lot of it comes from that white Christian Zionist movement that's always been in the underbelly of American society. And you hear people like Ted Cruz openly say things like and it's so funny to me because we always say Muslims and places like Iran, oh, they're religious fanatics. Then you have people like Ted Cruz come out and say things like, we need to support Israel in this war because I was always taught by my parents that the Israelites are God's people, and that anybody who stands against God's people will be punished, and the people
Man,
that stand with them will be rewarded. What?
yeah, it's ridiculous.
So that's it right there. It's just craziness. Like it's religious, it's white religious fanaticism. That's all this Zionist stuff is, and it's all through the underbelly of our government.
And
And
those ain't even the
Trump,
original people. Those not even the original people of that land. So what are y'all talking about? I mean, go
no,
ahead.
no, they had to exactly. No, they had to. They were well, firstly, Joseph and the other Israelites tribes, they were just moving around the Mesopotamia and Middle East. Then they winded up in Egypt, got enslaved. Then they rolled back and had to clear out the land of all
From
different type of tribes that
the
were staying
Canaanites, the
there.
Hittites, exactly.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
The Hittites and the Amalekites and all those different Philistine and Persian
Yeah.
tribes. But and it's the same thing today. What they doing with the Palestinians, clearing out land so that they can move in and make it from the river to the sea, while there's people living in between the river to the sea that are not part of that that are not part of that village, or excuse me, vision. And the problem with that, I go back to religious fanaticism, DubRightSide. God told the Israelites that you have to slaughter all the children of all every Amalekite and every Hittite and Philistine down to the last child. You have to exterminate them when if you want to take this land and make it your own. And now it seems like we seeing them go back to that. With how they trying to starve out and bomb out the the Palestinians.
I mean, it's ridiculous. It's out of order. It's out of control. And me personally, I can't support nothing like that. I can't support it. You know what I'm saying? So, I mean, it is what it is. It is what it is.
Hey, well, that's the last topic for tonight. Was a pretty good show before, even before you came on, but I'm glad I got to hear your thoughts on those three topics. Like I said, we got to get to House versus NCA, the settlement. Then we got to Iran, Israel, and then we obviously got lastly to that inside trading bill that's going to be coming out hopefully in the next coming weeks. This was a lot of fun. Well, before I give my outro, Dub, you got any last thoughts?
My apologies once again, Marky. You know what I'm saying? Things end up in the country a little longer than I expected to be. So I apologize for being late. But hey, man, great show, and congratulations once again on getting to the 100K mark. I mean the 100 mark, and now we looking for the 500K mark. You know what I'm saying? We just gonna keep pushing.
Most def. Thank you so much, my brother. Thank you to everybody that came through, everybody that subscribed, everybody that hit that like button. Democracy 101, DubRightSide. We're gonna be coming back next week with episode number 4 for political discourse. This was so much fun. Shout out to all my brothers in the one and only, the People's Network, Sports Talk Network. We're gonna be all my brothers are gonna be coming out with their own channels and their own lives. They already came out with their own stuff, but I got the links to each of their channels in the description for this live and this video. Please check out my brothers. We have a group of hardworking content creators, and we're all gonna get to the top. But like I said, Dub, it was
Marky. And for those who don't know, next week we're trying to have Marky on for a show, an interview with Marky Dan. You know what I'm saying? And we're gonna have either CDK or a prize as well. Monday and Tuesday. I'll begin with y'all brothers this weekend to make sure I can set it and put it in stone. And so y'all look out for the interviews with these great brothers, man.
Most def. Resistance to tyranny is obedience to God. Do not give up the struggle. Do not give up the fight against the machine, man. I'm gonna catch y'all next week, like I said. Peace.
Peace.